When we listen to the radio, we never agree on the station.
Classic rock.
Hip-hop. Pop.
Guys, quiet. The one thing we do agree on, we all want an awesome free phone. That's why we switched to Metro PCS.
Stop by Metro PCS with the whole family and get 4 free phones of your choice from brands you love, like Samsung, Motorola, and LG when you switch. Metro PCS. Wireless figured out.
Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Free phone requires port. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
When we listen to the radio, we never agree on the station.
Classic rock.
Hip-hop. Pop.
Guys, quiet. The one thing we do agree on, we all want an awesome free phone. That's why we switched to Metro PCS.
Stop by Metro PCS with the whole family and get 4 free phones of your choice from brands you love, like Samsung, Motorola, and LG when you switch. Metro PCS. Wireless figured out.
Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Free phone requires port. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
There are over 1,000 UFO sightings reported around the world every month. 90% of these sightings can be explained, but 10% cannot. Officially and unofficially, the U.S. government has been investigating UFOs since 1947. Their top secret goal is to find out what's behind these
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mack Maloney's No Tracks Out Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. In the studio with us tonight, I should say first that we have a really big shoe coming up, but in the studio with us tonight, our new studio, second gig here at Exeter, New Hampshire, the Exeter Incident here with us. He's his own walking Exeter Incident. The very famous Juan-Juan is here.
Hello, Mac. How's it going tonight?
Going good.
Working on show number 2 in a row, okay? Here
Two in a row.
In the overly ostentatious studios here at Exeter.
It really is, yeah. It's not that we didn't like the other place.
No, we did love the other place.
But this is...
fond affection for the other place.
Right. This is more uptown than downtown.
That's right.
You know, it's just really nice here, and we're in such a quiet location. You wouldn't even know there was a radio station here, which kind of adds to the coolness of it.
It's almost like a secret place.
Right, yeah. So
nestled in the woods of...
right. Exeter, New Hampshire. And what is it?
What else can I say about Exeter?
WXEX. I think that's the call letters of the radio station we're at. Yep. So anyway, so Juan-Juan is here. Cobra is doing some kind of monkey business and is going to call in later.
Is he on a mission?
He wouldn't say, Okay. So that usually means he's, up to something.
Yeah.
We're also going to be talking to our good friend Michael Schratt is going to be the special guest tonight. He is someone who's an expert on flying triangles. There are the 3 top shapes that people who see UFOs, what they see is, number 1 is actually a cigar-shaped object, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the saucer, the disc, and number 3 is these flying Doritos, they call them. They're triangles. They see them in all sizes. They've been seeing them for years. Some of them enormous, like the size of 2 or 3 aircraft carriers put together.
I was talking to a kid this morning who cleans up at Cumberland Farms.
Okay.
And I told him about my show, that I was doing it tonight and everything.
1 fan at a time. Yep, go ahead.
And he was talking about seeing 3 circles in a triangle design moving together, and then another one out by itself, sort of like passing it every so often.
That's a lot of people. A lot of people see exactly that. They'll see a triangle going over. They got the lights at each corner.
Right.
And they'll see another light, and it's either landing on it or coming out of it or orbiting it for some reason. Yeah. So Michael Schratt, he's an expert on all that. He's going to talk to us about the flying triangles and also the Hudson River Valley sightings from a couple of decades ago. Unbelievable, fascinating wave of UFO sightings. We'll be talking to him about that.
Okay.
We're also going to be talking to Switchblade and Emily, they went to a Monster Quest convention, and they're going to report on it.
Is that where they have the actors are?
I think so, yeah.
Reenacting their roles on the TV?
Yeah, like, the third guy who played the fourth alien on,
That's going to be cool.
Star Trek. Yeah. And also, we're going to be talking to...
Elvira, Queen of the Night, was there.
She's a real kind of down-to-earth person when it comes to UFOs. What is BS? What is noise? And what is reality? Right. We like talking to people like that. So, that's the show they want.
All right.
Okay.
Jam-packed.
How are you doing? The people of the future, the Patriots, did not play this week.
No, they had the bye week.
The bye week, B-Y-E.
Did you see the picture I sent you of what Tom Brady was doing during his bye week?
Yep. He was laying in a hammock he's down in Costa Rica someplace. He has a place down there.
Right, yeah.
His neighbors with Jack Nicholson, as it turns out, down there. They have this.
Not bad neighbors.
Yeah.
You can't handle the truth.
Yeah, right. I wish we got to get Phil here to do something. But anyway, he was down there grooving with his wife and.
How about the sunset picture?
Sunset picture, and just life is just great. You know, life is just great for him. I don't think it's absolutely great because I will stand by this. I still don't think his wife is even that attractive, frankly.
No, but that picture looked pretty good.
Well, yeah.
That's one of the better pictures I've seen.
Yeah, because you couldn't really see her face.
Well,
sorry.
I kind of zoomed in.
That's wrong, but.
Jeez.
Okay.
Well, I zoomed in. I thought it was not too shabby.
Okay. All right. I'll ask you the question I ask everyone.
Okay.
Who looks better, her or her sister?
The sister looks better, definitely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Juan-Juan.
the sister looks better.
You've made my point again.
But it's the old line back in the days where you said, "Well, I wouldn't kick her out of bed for eating crackers." Remember that line?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Did you ever say that to anybody?
No, because there was something in the 30s. Listen, who's eating crackers in bed? What does that even mean?
I don't know. I tried not to eat crackers in bed.
Yeah, right. Unless crackers is your girlfriend's name. See, now we got to cut that out. 536, Jeff. Thank you. It was there. It was there. Cobra would have been proud of me. So anyway, so that's the show. Why don't we do this? Do you have anything else, Patriots Fries, to report there, Wani? Oh, you got a new TB-12 hat.
TB-12 hat.
Yeah, okay. Is that new? Or is that the?
I've had it for a while.
Okay.
I just haven't worn it a lot.
Okay. Do you have backups?
You
have backup hats?
I have hats backed up. That's right. And
okay.
I'm going to go get some more Tom Brady clothing, like a jersey or something.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I was a little bit of a funk the last time.
No. Yes, you were.
Not that I was ignoring Tom Brady, but when you're a little bit jealous, you kind of want Tom Brady to yourself.
Yes, go ahead.
And
maybe this is the story.
I don't want it to sound like a creep show, but I got over it. I'm going, wait a second. Tom Brady is for everybody. He's for every man.
Wow, there you go. You're enlightened.
He's the quarterback for the masses.
For everyone, not just for you.
That's right.
Right, okay.
He's awesome. He's the best ever. He's the GOAT.
Yep.
GOAT, greatest of all time.
Right, yep.
And why should I feel, not part of that?
Right, exactly, yeah. Yeah, well.
And I was only hurting myself, so.
Right.
I'm back on
Maybe this is the part of the story we do with hand puppets, you think?
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
How was it in the Bahamas?
Okay. Juan-Juan, I missed you so much.
I miss you talking about me on
there you go.
The Mack Maloney's Military X-Files.
I think you've become enlightened. I think this is a step forward for you.
Well, I paid more attention to the TB-12 method book.
Right, okay.
I should have brought it in.
You were in here drooling. The funny thing is that the show before the last one, you were drooling over the book, and then our last show, which was our Halloween show, you're actually crying because you had a TB problem.
That's
and
right.
Now it's kind of come up. But is it because it was the bye week, and now you're going to see him now?
I had a kind of a renewed awakening of
color relapse.
My bromance for Tom Brady.
Wow, boy, the story continues.
Yeah, so
well, very interesting.
I'm glad I'm past that.
Yep. Well, if you say so, yes. All right.
I'm trying to be more authentic about it.
Okay, you're a fascinating person. And let me ask you, what does the lovely Mrs. Juan-Juan have to say about all this?
Well, she feels a little bit jealous because now she has to share the affections with Tom Brady.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But she's cool with it.
That's that. She's the third corner of the triad.
Yeah, she's.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
the third corner of the triad. So she's cool with it, just as long as I don't have too much affection over Tom Brady's wife. That'd be a different story.
Well, see, she's the odd man out. You're making my point again.
That's right.
I didn't mean man, but she's the odd, unattractive girl.
That's right.
So listen, why don't we...
I think I like Bridget Moynihan better.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
She was more down to earth. She was beautiful.
Just beautiful. Yep. I saw her in a movie the other day. The only reason I watched it was called The Recruit. It was about some kind of CIA thing. Didn't even pay attention to it. The only reason I watched it because she was in it, And there's just something about her. She's cute. She's very kind of down to earth.
Right.
And but she was 7 years older than him, someone told me the other day. And that's why
Oh,
he dumped
really?
her. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't either, but yeah, she was older than him. But, sorry, Tom, I would have stuck with her.
But she's got one of his kids, right?
Yeah. But he I guess he has custody of the kid mostly.
Yeah.
So, because she's a movie star and so on. But anyway.
And he provides a better lifestyle than a movie star would.
Yeah, for sure. So you're listening to the Tom Brady Hour here. Juan is our special guest. Anyway, so why don't we do this? Why don't we take an ad?
Okay.
And when we come back, we'll be back with another fascinating segment of the show. So you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We will be right back after this.
UFOs are found in Renaissance art, on ancient coins, and etched on cave walls. They're even reported in the Bible. But more surprising is when UFOs are seen the most, in times of war. Through centuries, thousands of UFO sightings have been made by high-ranking officials, military pilots, and ordinary soldiers. Often, these fantastic appearances occur at the height of great battles. From World War I to D-Day, to Korea, Vietnam, and beyond, military investigators are baffled. Why do UFO sightings spike so drastically during wartime? Could it be mistaken aircraft, or is someone, or something, looking in on us? In UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, Mack Maloney chronicles centuries of these incredible sightings and tries to solve the puzzle of why so many UFOs are seen while humanity is at war. Read about the scare ships, the ghost planes, and the ghost rockets, alien giants in the jungles of Vietnam, UFOs controlling our ICBM bases, dogfights with flying saucers during the Gulf War, and more. 300 pages of unbelievable stories, along with many startling photographs. That's UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, by Mack Maloney. On sale at your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. In the studio with us tonight, our new studio, in lovely Exeter, New Hampshire, the very famous Juan-Juan is here.
Hello, Mac. How's it going so far?
2 in a row. I don't know if 2 in a row, it really makes a streak or not.
It means nothing, but it's like the Celtics right now. It could mean something later on.
Celtics have won 9 in a row or something. But when do you want to call a streak your personal appearances here? After 3, 4?
No, I got to be up in the double digits first.
Really? Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So a 9-week streak means nothing to you?
No.
Okay. All right. Very good. I also wanted to mention that we had a lot of audience reaction to the Halloween show.
Oh, good.
By the way, yes. And
is our security guy screened all the reaction emails?
Well, we should say that was actually 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And apparently I was talking about the various fan mail that people send to us, whether they're emails or whether they're actually, through the postal service. Mm-hmm. When you mention stuff like that, it kind of bumps. You have a rise in it because people just get the idea, and we get so many listeners now. I guess that
well, I'm glad they're paying attention and actually sending us stuff.
Right. So, but what it had us do is we had to hire some muscle, some like a bodyguard or a security person, to go through all this stuff. And
it's like in the level of Pinkerton or something.
Yeah, a little more like, I don't want to say goon, but I said 2 weeks ago, if we were going to a movie premiere, he'd be the guy who would shove the people out of the way we could, it's that type of thing. And he also goes through our emails and the security checks with packages that arrive. Okay, and last week,
hope he has a sniffing dog with him too on the packages.
Well, you never know. last week he revealed that apparently that you have the good news is that you have the most fans, and that
I like that news.
The majority of them are female.
I like that too.
The kind of not so good news, but it depends on where you are on these days. But is that they tend to send you sex toys? That's what was
that part is confusing to me.
Right. Yes. Right. And I know I insulted you last week by saying
and if I recall, there were female sex.
Yes. Well, they were.
Well, I guess both people could use it, but whatever.
Who knows?
I don't even want to go there.
I didn't want to insult you by suggesting it might be a prank or something. Yeah. Even though we called everyone we knew and say you send this stuff to Juan-Juan, but no, it apparently is organic, as they say in the biz.
Yeah.
And they're sending you rubber things. So anyway, as an update on this, there was a long shorthand for our security agent.
That's right. It's a concern.
Mr. William Clubb is on the line with us. How you doing there tonight, Clubb?
Good, Mac. How you doing?
Okay, doing good. Okay.
Juan-Juan, how you doing?
Oh, excellent. Couldn't be better.
Okay.
Good. Happy to hear it.
So, so what's the latest? What's your report this week? Anything going on?
Well, I got some things here. Let me start off. I don't want to complain, but when you assigned me this mail task, I didn't realize that it involved this kind of detail. I'm almost about ready to ask for combat pay.
Well, does that mean that you didn't think we'd be getting this much email or this much communication?
Well, it's the amount is okay, but it's the types and some of this stuff.
The content, okay, all right.
Oh, so, but anyways, it's been.
He's about ready to get Homeland Security involved, probably.
Yeah, I know. I mean, are we that close? I mean, we said last week that that most people try to get in touch with me because they're interested in the books that I write. Most people try to get in touch with Cobra because he's like, Mr. G.I. Joe, and they want to...
And he's Mr. Military.
And Mr. Military, and they want to ask him questions, but as I said before, they want to be him, you know what I mean? So he's there. But then Juan-Juan's audience is sounds like a lot of just female fans who, are a little bit, let's say, north of the 50-yard line, right? Would that be the one?
Well, I can't tell you what their motivation is, but they're kind of unique. Some of these folks.
Okay. Yeah, I got some fans locally who say, "Hey, you know what? You really have a good voice."
There you go.
We really like the sound of it. I said, "You really?" I said, "Yeah, definitely. We really love the sound of your voice. It's very soothing. It's very relaxing.
Juan-Juan.
It's kind of sensual.
Juan-Juan on Juan-Juan.
So I think it's right. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
It sounds like one of the letters that I read. You sending letters in for yourself here?
Wow, okay.
No, I am not writing any love letters to myself.
Oh, well, it's okay. Maybe it's therapy. You never know. So,
well, anyways, I was a little concerned this week, and I told you, Mac, that I wanted to discuss this with you.
Okay.
But we're getting the same type of things.
Yes.
G.I. Joe love letters, for Cobra,
yes.
And Juan-Juan, another spectacular week or so for the toy box. But the most disturbing one though is it was a package addressed to you, Mac.
Oh,
Ooh.
Come on! No, obviously this is Juan-Juan.
Package, you pretty much gave me authority to go through this stuff. So even though it had your name on it, I made the mistake of opening it. And I don't know. Inside, it was kind of messy. There was a baggie, and it contained some kind of poop.
Oh no!
Whether it was cat poop or dog poop.
See, that's not right.
Definitely came out of the rear end or something.
Oh no!
Well, that's usually what.
And it was organic too, wasn't it?
We were
yeah,
about
and
organic,
I got to tell you, that's what I'm telling you. This is concerning I got to start wearing gloves now, but. But anyways, the thing I really wanted to alert you to is the note. Yeah, it was like a really crudely written note, and I got it right here.
See, can I just interrupt you for a second? The only person I know who would actually send, feces to the
I would
mail.
never do that to
That's
anybody.
got to be a federal offense.
I wouldn't do that to anybody.
Okay. So was the note, what was it, like cut out like kidnap notes, different letters from different magazines and stuff?
Yes, it was really strange. It looked like someone, they had trouble writing, but I could read it. And it basically says here, "Hey, Mac, here's your binky, signed Puddles."
Puddles?
Yeah.
Rob's cat.
P.S. on it. It says, leave Juan-Juan alone.
See, now.
So
I'm liking Puddles already.
Yeah, Puddles. But who would send cat feces to the mail to me? Come on, that's you. Just tell me now. Was it you? Or do you know who? Do you know who it is? He's not looking at me straight.
But at least it wasn't human feces.
How do you know that?
Oh, I have no way of determining.
I thought
it just
I thought
looked
you
like
said it was cat feces.
Well, there was hairs on it, but never. Once again, you never know. But in Puddles, of course, is a cat, so therefore, Sherlock, it was probably cat.
Hey, don't throw this on me.
Oh, I don't know. Why you won't look me in the eye? You know who did it?
Sounds pretty funny, though.
Oh, thank you. That's great.
It'd be funny to you.
Yeah, right.
I'm glad it wasn't sent to me.
It's basically organic terrorism is what it is. But you think it's funny, so we amuse you.
I do.
Then mission accomplished.
I'm amused.
Well, thank you. So I get a feel we're going to get a letter in the mail asking for Mr. Club's agent.
Thanks for coming in, Mr. Mahoney. Do you have your member ID card?
Yep, I have it right here in the FEP Blue app, see?
Great.
It's awesome. The app can also help me find a provider and keep tabs on my deductibles.
Okay, can I...
Oh, yeah, and my out-of-pocket spending and visit limits, and I can call the nurse line.
I'm really glad it does all that, but I only need to see your member ID card.
Oh, that's it? Why didn't you say so?
Fearless is just one tap away. With the new FEP Blue app from Blue Cross and Blue Shield, you can access your health benefits on the go. Download it now at fepblue.org/app.
To get paid more. Is that
well, if it continues the way it is, the kind of things coming in now, I think some of this is a hazard, and so I'm just throwing that out.
Okay.
That, the next time you meet with the board, you might want to discuss my compensation.
Okay, all right.
I think you deserve it if you see, and this is going to create copycat.
Right? Yeah. You don't have to
fecal senders or something.
Yeah, right. Fecal terrorists.
Which we don't want.
No, we don't want that, and I certainly don't want them sent to me. If you want to send them to the other people for a laugh.
I'm cool with the toys and everything that are being sent to me.
He's cool with the sex toys, but you draw the line at scat, as the kids call it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that we have you on the payroll there and part of the gang, because it sounds like you came just right in time there.
Well, I tell you, the problem is now that I can't even go to the mail until the end of the day. It's gotten so bad.
Really? Okay. Wow. This is.
But I don't want to complain.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
And we know you're not complaining. You're just putting it out there too.
And the next thing he's going to say is, and it's not about the money. And anytime anyone says it's not about the money, you know what?
It's about the money.
It's about the money.
It's not just about the sympathy.
Right. Well, thank you, Club, for going through that for us, so we wouldn't have to do it. Thank you. And let us.
I won't say it's my pleasure.
Okay, we understand that. And you'll be coming in some night and actually showing us the toy box. Is that the?
Yeah, there's been some exciting new things too. So I just want to,
Wow.
I'll be getting there when you want me to.
Okay, all right. Well, why don't we make that the Christmas show? How about that? Sorry.
Well, I'll need a truck by then.
Oh, they can. Wow, he could come in like Santa Claus. We can.
Any toys named after an animal?
I don't want to get into that.
All right,
Jeff has enough work as it is.
Okay,
so
just throwing that out there.
Okay. Well, thank you, Club, and we'll talk to you very soon. Okay.
Okay, there, guys.
Okay. And you can throw that. You can throw that baggie away. Okay.
Oh, I was going to get fingerprints. See if we can.
No, it's okay. No, that's fine.
No.
It would be cat prints or Rob Beckhausen if it's anything. But like throw it on your neighbor's lawn, just see what happens.
Yeah, I might explode.
Oh, there you go. Here we go. Okay. Well, we will give you 2 hands clapping. Thank you, Mr. Club. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Be good.
Thanks
Be
a lot.
safe.
Be safe.
You too.
Well, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Whoa.
This is taking a lot out of me for some reason.
Now it's really kind of
getting a little weird. To send the cat.
A little disconcerting.
Yeah. You get sex toys. I'm getting cat feces. What is Commander getting?
Heaven only knows.
Yeah, really. Well, it is a little concerning, but that's what happens. We have a huge audience. Our audience, if you add all the networks together, comes out to more than 400,000 people listening to us during the week.
Right.
And some people have time on their hands, okay? They send me cat crap and they send you sex toys.
That's rude. I mean, it sure was meant to be a joke and not to be.
Well, because, the week that you were in here,
yep.
that Cobra and I had to, tap dance the whole week because Skype wasn't working.
Right, yeah.
At one point, at the very end of one segment, I was just so desperate. I said, I miss Juan-Juan. He's my binky. Did you even listen to that show?
I did.
Okay, all right.
I loved it. Thank you very much.
It's okay, and people obviously...
and I went, oh.
Hey, yeah. They actually probably just hooked on to that, and here we are. People, who claim to be Puddles the Cat, sending me cat crap through the mail. This is the way I thought celebrity would be. Because, does Tom Brady get envelopes full of crap through the mail?
Probably not, but who knows, We only know the good stuff. We don't know the other stuff, the crap.
Literally the crap. But it's good ammunition for Mack after dark. Okay, remember that idea? Remember that meeting?
I love that.
Okay, we're still going to do it.
We're going to do that show.
Yeah. So anyway, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a well-deserved break, okay? We'll probably have to go out and get some fresh air.
Ooh, definitely.
And just to get over this, and then we'll be back with another fascinating segment. So you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back after this.
Over the years, Air Force Major Hawk Hunter and his band of patriotic fighter pilots have fought tirelessly to reunite a fractured America, devastated by a Russian sneak attack. Now, returning from a mysterious space odyssey, Hunter finds a huge Russian army occupying New York City, ready to invade the rest of America. Buzzing through the city's skyscraper canyons in a tiny top-secret ghost plane, and seeing the invaders' massive weaponry for himself, Hawk realizes he's up against the greatest danger his homeland has ever faced. But equally alarming are reports claiming that Hawk's former girlfriend, Dominique, is living with the head of the Russian secret police in a Manhattan penthouse. Is she his prisoner, or is she something else? With the woman and the country he loves in dire peril, Hawk Hunter, the wingman, will apply all his aviation prowess to launch the most crucial battle for America yet, no matter what the risks. Filled with fast-paced action, a wide range of aircraft and military hardware, Battle for America brings back your favorite characters from earlier books in the Wingman series and delivers a riveting story that reveals new insight on America's most famous hero, the Wingman. That's Wingman 18, The Battle for America. On sale now at Amazon.com and available at your local bookstore.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Our second show at our new studio, WXEX in Exeter, New Hampshire. We are the Exeter Incident.
The home of the Exeter Incident, right. It's only a few miles away from here.
Yeah, very close. Just happens to be, this is where we're doing the show these days. And the famous Juan-Juan is here.
It's a nice studio. I'm still getting used to kind of the vibe, you know?
Yeah,
it takes a while to get kind of...
Well, we've already seen one ghost, and I was just outside getting a breath of fresh air, and something was out in the leaves walking around right near me there.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Maybe a possum or something.
I'm sure.
We're near wetlands. We're near a golf course. We're near...
Yeah.
Fortunately, a few miles away is the hospital.
Right, Exeter Hospital, very famous hospital. Anyway, so here we are, okay? On the phone with us is someone who's one of our best guests. Whenever he's on, we get a lot of requests afterwards for information on him. When's he going to be back on again? And we're talking about Michael Schratt. Michael, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on the program.
Okay. You bet. Where are you anyway? Are you in Pennsylvania?
I'm in Phoenix.
Oh, Phoenix. Okay. So what's the temperature there today?
81.
Oh,
man. That's not right.
Because we were 70 maybe about a week ago. But
yeah. And
it's New England, and it's in the 50s.
Yeah, yep. And it's going down. And, I mean, I still have my I haven't turned my heat on yet, but I haven't taken the air conditioners out yet either. You know, that's where
I just did that the other day.
Did you
Sunday.
really?
Yeah, Sunday I did that.
So, anyway, New England weather is, people hear it all the time, but just lately, the past 20 years, it is really bizarre weather. I mean, let's face it, you know, we don't get the storms that we used to get. We don't get anything in November and December. It's like extended fall, and then all of a sudden, bang, 2 months, and it's we're up to our eyeballs in snow. Anyway, New England weather. So anyway, Michael, you are someone who we go to when we get questions about a lot of things, but one of them is these flying triangles that people see all the time, and this is a favorite subject of Cobra, but he's out on some mission tonight. People see flying triangles a lot, and there's all kinds of different explanations for them. Some of them, don't sound really quite as real as others, but people see the shape of a flying triangle a lot, just as much as they see the saucer shape, the cigar shape, and so on. You as someone who knows a lot about them, how did you get interested in this, just for our new listeners?
I've just had a keen interest in where our tax dollars are disappearing. And as a concerned citizen, I made it a goal and a crusade to track these black programs, interview engineers who worked on the programs, such as people who worked in Phantom Works, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Black Widow Group, Lockheed Skunk Works, Burbank, California, Palmdale. That's what I've really focused in on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have any idea, how much money has been spent, behind our backs, let's say, for this stuff? It's got to be in the billions, right?
In '88, it was fiscal year procurement of $19.1 billion for fiscal year 1988. So the black budget grew tremendously during the 8 years of the Reagan administration.
Right.
So we're way beyond there now. But even in Aviation Week, space technology, even in their own literature, they make the case that 8 years of the Reagan administration were very good to the black world.
Yeah. Okay, now here's the question. Did we need it?
I think it was justified. And, the aircraft we'll be talking about tonight really fall under three categories. Within those three categories, they have a group of terms that they use. These are internal spook group terms that they use to describe these aircraft. Now, I've broken them down into three different titles here. And these are actual spook group titles here.
Okay, cool.
They call these aircraft, quote, silver bullet technologies. Ooh. They call them ace in the hole technology, and they also call these aircraft trump card technologies.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about one and two. So, I mean, silver bullet, to me, isn't the silver bullet the thing that they killed vampires with?
I don't know.
Or is it what the Lone Ranger carried? Juan-Juan, you're an expert on this. Silver bullets, and Lone Ranger carried silver bullets.
I thought he had, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Is a silver bullet something you kill you don't really shoot a vampire, so it must be a Lone Ranger reference.
That's the only reference I know.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Go back to what you were doing there.
I'm looking
at
the Black Ops
okay. All right. Okay.
Pictures.
It looks like a comic book to me, let's say, but that's all right. Anything.
Oh, the map here is really,
there you go.
Really
that's beautiful.
Detailed.
So I mean, do you think that there's a case? Well, I'm going to say, how can you determine whether money is being wasted if it's a black operation? You're never going to get in there to find out. But I mean, not all this stuff works. So there has to be some money spent on stuff that, never really works, right?
Yeah, that's part of the problem, because when you have a black program that has no congressional oversight, no public scrutiny, they can screw it up and no one knows.
Mm-hmm.
We'll never hear about it. That's gone on so many times. One quick example, January 7th, 1991, when Dick Cheney canceled the A-12 Avenger II program, that cost American taxpayers $5 billion. So we got nothing to show for it.
Right.
So getting back to the black programs, though, really quickly, I want to give you one quick example of a 30-year veteran police officer who had an interesting sighting near Barnsley, England, August 25th, 1990. The reference for this is David Marler's book, Triangular UFOs. Now, he gave me this case. It did not get into the book, but this gentleman, after going to a Fleetwood Mac music concert around 11:50 p.m., they were done with the concert. It was the primary eyewitness and his wife driving home from the concert. She was asleep, but driving back to their house, he saw from this dark, misty cloud emerge this, what he called a large black triangle that was at least 100 feet per side. It had a series of lighted windows on the side and then a relief section on the bottom showing these cross beam and girder construction. And I'm not going to read his whole report here, but he made a very interesting statement that I think is important to our discussion.
Okay.
Now, this is the police officer. He says, the side of the craft appeared to have several illuminated windows, and at one of the windows, I saw 2 to 3 figures that appeared to be human. Certainly nothing about the figures made me think they were anything other than human, reinforcing my belief that the craft was a military project.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
This is in the 90s, right? Early 90s, did you say?
This is August 25th, 1990, near Barnsley, England.
Okay, so that is 27 years ago? No. Yeah, 27 years ago, right? If this was some kind of a military top secret craft back then, what do they got now? You know what I mean? It's got to be stuff that is just like so far out we could never comprehend it or something.
Well, we can go back to statements by Ben Rich. He was a very good friend of Jim Goodall. I'm good friends with Jim Goodall. 1995 is when Ben Rich passed away, but there was one final phone call between Jim Goodall and Ben Rich. And Ben told Jim Goodall over the phone, quote, "We have things in the Nevada desert that are 50 years beyond what you can comprehend. If you've seen it on Star Wars or Star Trek, we've been there, done that, or decided it wasn't worth the effort." That's a direct quote from Ben Rich.
Wow. Probably not talking about the new NHL team in Las Vegas, right? It sounds like. But
so none of our congressmen or senators vote on any of this stuff, or they are not even aware of it?
A significant number of House and Senate Armed Services Committee members have no need to know. This is a classified black program. This is a trump card technology. And a lot of times they are not clued in. Give you another quick example here. Let's fast forward. We just considered the 1990 case. Let's go to January 5th, 2000, Southern Illinois, not too far from St. Louis. There were 3 separate triangular craft seen. And there was one craft that looked like a single-story ranch with a penthouse on top, seen by a miniature golf course owner who also happened to be a truck driver. And I'm going to hit you with the statement by the gentleman here. This is the police officer. Here's what he said. This comes from Collinsville Journal, Sunday, January 6, 2000. The title is "Object in Sky Draws Interest of UFO Researchers." Subheading says, "Officer says he is 98% sure object was experimental or military." So he saw this large craft that looked like a rounded Indian arrowhead type configuration with a strobing light that strobed from left to right on the back. And then he said here, this is a direct quote, "Officer Stevens stated that the craft tried to, quote, camouflage itself against the night sky and was projecting the star field above it on the underside."
Yes. That
hiding in the stars.
That technology exists.
Of an electrochromic panel technology where they're taking the image of what's above the craft, transferring electronically to the bottom, and essentially allowing it to blend in with the background.
Right. That technology has been around. I know. I researched it, let's say. It's been around since the mid 80s, okay? Especially people seeing this stuff happening out in Nevada and so on. So once again, okay, this is what they were doing how many years ago? 30 years ago?
But these are major contractors working on this stuff, right?
Right. We should just explain, too. Ben Rich was the guy who, the very famous Skunk Works is where a lot of this stuff comes out of Lockheed.
Right.
And Kelly Johnson was the guy who really kind of founded that, and he designed the U-2 and the SS-71, a whole bunch of stuff.
Skunk Works wasn't secret.
No, but but the stuff they do there is secret.
Okay.
And then Ben Rich took over for him right after Kelly Johnson died, right, Michael?
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
And these two guys were geniuses. I read Ben Rich's book. They were geniuses, 2 different kinds of people and 2 different kinds of genius. But man, they got the job done. They did some stuff there. This SS-71 was basically designed in the the 50s. All right, had ramjet engines.
It's amazing. Yeah, technology that we didn't know that they had back.
Incredible, just incredible. I mean, those things go like 3,000, 3,400 miles an hour. And they built these things back in the 50s and early 60s. Anyway, it's just incredible. So Michael, listen. So, like I say, there's no real good way to determine whether our money is being spent right. But I mean, every once in a while, they come out with something that has to be the combination of like 6 or 7 failures put into something that actually works, like the stealth fighter, the stealth bomber, or something like that. And people can make a good case. Well, it's money well spent because nothing around the world can touch it.
Well, we are long overdue for the release of a new classified program. We are long overdue. So we have November the 10th, 1988 is when the Air Force acknowledged the existence of the F-117A. Now, a couple weeks later, November 22nd, 1988, that's when they rolled out the B-2 stealth bomber. Fast forward to October 2002, under the Bush administration, is when they rolled out and released to the public the Boeing Phantom Works Bird of Prey. Now, that is the last classified manned program that we know of, not 2002. So we're way overdue.
Right. What do you think is going on then with this little spacecraft that goes up and stays up there for almost a year at a time? It looks like a miniature space shuttle.
I think you're referring to the X-37?
Right. Cobra insists that there's a manned version of that. I mean, it's about 1/4 the size of the space shuttle. It looks like a mini space shuttle, okay? It's robotic. They send it up there, and it does God knows what, and it stays up there for a long time. 2 people couldn't live in it. It stays up there for more than a year.
2 people couldn't live in it, meaning it's not that big?
No, it's the size of a car.
Oh, okay.
And you'd be up there, I mean, there's no way those things are manned, Michael, are they?
No, it doesn't appear to be a manned craft, not for that kind of length of time. But that's kind of an interesting way to lead into this one, and we'll try to cover this quickly here. But now, the next part of the story, I have to give credit to Bill Scott, who's the former Rocky Mountain Energy.
Hey, where you going, Jim? The elevator's over here.
Taking the stairs.
But our meeting's up on 8.
Yeah, I know.
But that's 8 floors up. That's like 8 times 8. A lot of stairs.
That's the point. I've already lost a few pounds and earned almost $100 in wellness incentives.
Whoa, you're getting rewarded for working out?
Yeah, I know. I'm just as surprised as you are, Bob.
Fearless is full of surprises. That's the power of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Federal Employee Program. Learn more about our healthy benefits and sign up at fepblue.org/chooseblue by December 11th.
Of Aviation Week Space Technology. He's now retired from Aviation Week, but he had been chasing down this story for 16 years, so credit has to go to him. Plus, I interviewed 3 additional primary eyewitnesses who have seen this aircraft in person firsthand. So those are the other sources. So what we're dealing with here is something called the Black Star program.
Yes.
And the way that Bill described it is that we're looking at a 400-piece puzzle, and we only have 200 pieces of the puzzle.
Super
We've
duper.
got the basic framework, but we don't have the whole aircraft.
Right. What is it? Is it a fighter? Is it a bomber?
To make a long story short, on January 28th, 1986, that's when the Challenger exploded. And at that time, the Air Force lost what they termed their assured access to space. That's an actual term they use. It's called assured access to space.
Right.
And so what they did is they switched gears and started launching NRO and NSA satellites. They were trying to launch them on the Titan II boosters. But this is really interesting because coincidentally with the Challenger explosion, they also had multiple Titan II booster explosions at the same time.
Yes, strange.
Failures of this at the same time, which is unbelievable. So now they were totally out of business. So as the story goes, a desperate cry went out to the defense contractors, including Lockheed, Boeing, Rockwell, McDonnell Douglas, to design a 2-stage-to-orbit rapid response space plane that could launch a small military payload into a low Earth orbit, that could also launch a weapons system known as rods from God that have a depleted uranium tip, that have no warhead. It's strictly by velocity.
My favorite weapon of all time. Right. It's just it's just literally a rod of titanium or something that they launch from orbit, and it builds up so much kinetic energy on the way down. I've researched these too, that it like will blow an entire city up. Okay, just gone with a huge crater, no radioactivity, nothing. Right. You have one of these things orbiting, it's like every science fiction book you ever read. You control the world. Because there's no way to defense against these things, at least right now. So what you just described is the X-37. They started building this thing.
Similar, yep.
Yeah.
And it also has a Q bay on the top portion of the parasitic aircraft that can also be used as a synthetic aperture radar system. So what we're looking at here is a 2-part system. The large craft was termed the SR-3 mothership. It was also known as the Super Valkyrie, or even some Air Force majors have called this, quote unquote, the Elegant Lady.
Nice.
And this thing is 200 feet long. It's light gray in color. It has a 120-foot wingspan. It looks just like the vintage 1960s XB-70, but instead of the two vertical stabilizers on either side of the center line of the aircraft, they're pushed outside to the wingtips. So it has these 16-foot tall winglets that are canted at about a 30-degree angle.
Wow.
It also has canards that can retract for high-speed flight, but the canards also have winglets on themselves as well.
Wow.
The craft is powered by 6 YJ-93 engines.
6.
And on the bottom of the craft, it looks like, witnesses who have seen this craft, it looks like someone took an ice cream scooper and scooped out the bottom of this aircraft, leaving a cavity for a smaller parasitic aircraft to sit up inside. Now, this other smaller aircraft is known as the XOV, or Experimental Orbiter Vehicle. It has a crew of 1. It's approximately 60 to 65 feet in length. It can be airdropped from the belly of the mothership. Top speed is 17,500 miles an hour, Mach 20.
Wow.
Altitude is 150 to 250 miles, and it uses 4 linear aerospike engines that uses a modified boron fuel that has the consistency of toothpaste.
Okay.
That's essentially what this aircraft is.
That's incredible. That is incredible. So this thing would basically they felt themselves shut out of space, and during that time you're talking about the late 80s, not only were these things blowing up, but missions that we had sent to Mars went missing and stuff. There was really a lot of kind of crazy stuff going on in the late 80s, as when it comes to spacecraft. Then all of a sudden we were back in it again. But so they went to the defense contractors. They said, listen, we got to get into space somehow. What's the cheapest, quickest way you can do it? And usually hybrid aircraft are the result of something like that. And they came up with this thing. And once again, from the UFO point of view, you see one of these things flying over your head, what are you going to think?
You think it's a UFO?
Yeah, you think it's a UFO, of course. And these things flying out of Nevada somewhere?
This was seen by an F-15 pilot. This was a transient F-15 pilot who saw this land at Holloman Air Force Base back on February 12th, 1994. He saw this thing through sitting in his F-15 through a pair of binoculars. He described the whole thing. That's how I put this drawing together. Yep. But he also stated that on the bottom of this craft, it was completely composed of ablative tiles taken directly off the space shuttle. It has 4 channels that are milled into the side to the bottom of the aircraft for rigidity. And it's believed that McDonnell Douglas in St. Louis, their Black Widow group, later known as the Phantom Works, when Boeing took it over, but they would be sandwiching this composite material, multiple layers together to complete this structure, and it was extremely hard layup, and it was very difficult, but they got a very strong structure. Now, on the back of this, as we mentioned before, it has 4 linear aerospike engines. Now, the exhaust ports of these aerospike engines have what they called an egg crate or milk crate covering over them. It looks very similar in appearance to the egg crate covering over the inlets on the F-117 stealth fighter.
Yeah, right.
Very interesting section. The back of the aircraft also has these ports where you can load in these solid rocket boosters like a SRB. And when it's done, they come out like shotgun shells, and you plug 2 more back in. That's what this aircraft looks like.
Man, this is crazy stuff. This is, I mean, and it's all completely believable. It's all within the realm of the technology at that time. When I hear about this stuff, I can't help but to go to, if they had it then, what do they have now? That's 20 years ago.
I know. I mean, now, just to repeat, Bill Scott did the leg work on this crap. Now, he took a lot of flack when that story broke in 2006, when this story first broke. Now, he took a lot of flack. I've investigated the people who have criticized that original article, and I'm here to tell you that they did not dig deep enough. They did not interview the eyewitnesses. They did not go to them personally, and they did not corroborate the features of what these people are saying, because they match up. So for anyone who's questioning the existence of this aircraft. They just have not dug deep enough.
Right. Hey, we should remind everyone listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack. Juan-Juan is here. We're talking to Michael Schratt, who is an expert, as it turns out, on the blackest, the deepest secret programs that we have, especially aviation programs, that's been going on in this country for the past 30 years. I used to look into this stuff. I used to read Aviation Week and stuff like that. And then I realized, if they get something really, really secret,
you're not going to be reading about it.
You're not going to be reading about it. I mean, you don't even hear hints of it.
It won't be in Popular Mechanics.
Right. They really have.
But there's so many people working on it. How can it be that secret?
The people at the Skunk Works, those people, they keep their word. They're given, oaths at the beginning of their employment. What bugs me is that, you don't hear anything from these guys. Yet, the 20 guys who claim they whacked bin Laden, they all got books and movies and stuff like that. That's not right, man. That is not right.
Yeah. One of the secrets, the way they do is they compartmentalize the information. And we got to keep in mind is Lockheed teamed up with Rockwell on this project, and then they farmed out the parasitic aircraft to McDonnell Douglas, and then final assembly took place at Boeing's Seattle facility.
Everyone
so
had
you
a
can
piece
see
of the
how
pie.
they've really spread this out.
Yeah, that's
so you only had one hand on the elephant. You didn't see the rest of it.
Yep.
That's how they get it done quick, though. You know what I mean? They say, hey, listen, let's call the big boys together. We got to do this, you do this, and bada bing, you do it, You actually do it. If you did it in the light of day or something like that, it would take years and years and years, If, I don't know, some things, especially when it comes to weaponry, when it comes to the security of this country, do your stuff in secret. Spend whatever the hell you want, okay? Because we waste trillions of dollars anyway.
Yeah, what's a few billion here and there?
Exactly. A billion is nothing these days. Right. But just, come out, the other end with something that's going to make us safer or, keep us safe. I know that thing that you were talking about, the A-12, which was basically the Navy's version of a stealth fighter. They wanted them to land on aircraft carriers, and it looked like a Dorito, like a boomerang or something.
That's right.
Michael, don't you think, though, that, I heard that the cost, when Dick Cheney canceled it, I thought it was up more like $11 billion or $12 billion. And we've discussed on the show a number of times, where did it go? And then and Koval will tell you that what it did is they transferred a lot of the technology over to drones. Our present-day drones.
According to Bill's 2006 article on Black Star, some of the A-12 Avenger funding and the X-30 NASP funding was filtered over the Black Star program.
So it didn't all go to waste then?
Technically, no.
On hookers and blow down in Washington, D.C. That would never happen, Juan-Juan.
No, of course not.
So let's, we only got a couple minutes left. You're going to have to come back and just tell people about the Hudson Valley sightings. When did it happen? Real quick.
83 to 89, almost a 10-year period.
Okay, and people would just see these huge black triangle something over the Hudson River heading down south, kind of going parallel to the Taconic Parkway, right?
Correct. We're looking at 25,000 eyewitnesses describe a boomerang or chevron-shaped craft that had multicolored flashing lights. It had translucent panels showing you the interior of the structure that looked like a cross-beam and girder construction. Also, other eyewitnesses reported tubes, pipes, and cylinders on the bottom of the craft, identical to what Belgium Triangle eyewitnesses reported. That's in 89 and 90, which is identical to the bottom outer structure of the one we just talked about, January 5th, 2000, where they also reported, quote, plumbing pipes and what they termed stacked Legos as well.
Oh, wow. Okay. See, here's my question is, you have 25,000 people.
Yes.
In a civilized,
they all can't be wrong.
In a civilized part of the world. It's a little north of New York City, okay? All right? These things are showing up almost on a regular basis for almost 10 years. They're not trying to hide. A lot of people think UFOs, are trying to hide. They're not trying to hide. They want us to see them. Why isn't that the biggest freaking story of mankind? You know what I mean?
I know. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. No, what I think is weird is this represents like the most significant group of sightings in ufology because of the sheer number of eyewitnesses and the duration of the sightings, yet it's almost completely forgotten about.
Yeah.
Now.
Isn't that strange? I mean, and what is also baffles me is that, if you look at the top, let's say 20 movies of the past 20 years, almost half of them have to do with aliens, E.T., Independence Day. People go.
Everybody's interested in it.
Yeah, everyone's interested. So why aren't they interested in this? This is real life, The Phoenix Lights.
And it was in the newspaper, right? It wasn't
in the newspaper. But
multiple newspapers.
Then it goes away, but it goes away, And that was back then. These days, it's now, when you're talking about.
I know. I don't recall hearing of it.
Plumbing and pipes. It's the Kardashians, getting something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Changed or whatever. I don't know. The priorities are weird, but that's a little strange that people don't take these things seriously when you really think about it. There's nothing else more important. Michael Schratt, now I know that you have a crossword puzzle that people having to do with Ben Rich, who we were talking about from the Skunk Works earlier.
Right.
And if people complete this, they're going to get $1,000. Is that
$1,000 cash prize for anyone, the first person to correctly solve the puzzle and send it back to me by 11:59 on Pacific Standard Time on the 10th of November.
10th of November. Okay. We have a copy of it. I saw a copy of it. It looks extensive. Is it all questions about Ben, or is it the Skunk Works?
Every single clue has something to do with Ben Rich.
Really?
It won't be easy, I can tell you that.
Who put it together? You?
I put it together.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. All right. Now, do you have the grand really somewhere, or are you flying a kite here?
No, this is real.
Okay.
This is real.
All right. That's okay.
It's been
Juan-Juan
going on
wanted
for
me
4
to ask that
years and
question.
no one solved the puzzle yet.
Oh, how many years?
4 years.
Wow.
Oh, all right. All right. I know what we're going to do. We're going to get the black-eyed kid in here. He's a little idiot savant.
Yeah.
We're going to have him.
He'll blow right through it.
He'll blow right through it,
Yeah,
and we'll have.
I'm sure.
We'll have a grand to go and blow right through. Here you go. Hey, Michael.
Four-legged animal rhymes with rat. That's where I'm at, basically, with crossword puzzles.
I've never tried one, man. It's just too complicated for me. Michael Schratt, thanks for joining us tonight. And we're going to have you back on soon to talk about the Hudson Valley sighting, because they are just fascinating. It's the best UFO story out there, really.
It is.
Thanks for joining us. And they can get now. Where can they go to get more info about the crossword puzzle?
Okay, so you'll have to email me. The email address is AURORACAD as in dog, the number 5 at AOL.com. So it's AuroraCAD5 at AOL.com. Okay. Send me an email. I'll shoot it over to you. If you get it done by the end of the day on the 10th and you get it correct, you're the first one, you get $1,000.
Let me ask you a question. Okay, this has to do with logistics. Is the 10th one, is that carved in stone?
That's carved in stone. Yes, 11:59 p.m. Yes, it's carved in stone.
Well, Juan-Juan, as the kids say,
Pacific Standard Time. Right?
This really sucks because this show won't be heard until the 14th.
Really?
Yeah. So whoever won, I'm sure that they were brilliant, and they're gonna take the grand and give it to like Mother Teresa or something.
Okay. I hereby announce that I will extend it till the end of the day on the 14th.
Okay, there you go. End of the day on the 14th. All right. Wow, this is going to, can we talk to the winner if there is a winner?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay.
I'd love to.
All right. Excellent. All right. Michael Schratt, you know what? We're going to give you.
Good job. This is fascinating stuff.
It really is.
I'm looking at some of the photographs here.
Yeah, he's looking
at rendered drawings, let's put it this way.
The whole idea of black funding, and I know, it's just so
wicked, colorful, and beautiful.
If you saw something like that, man, I don't know what the hell.
I'd be going,
Yeah, you think so? Yeah.
What's that? Who cares?
Real quick, Michael, have you ever heard the story that the CIA was always looking for money that they didn't have to go to Congress and get, especially like in the 70s and the 80s? So they went to the Postal Service, and the Postal Service said, just come out with a stamp of the Wright brothers, the Kitty Hawk.
Right.
Okay? And the CIA said to them, print like 2,000 of them upside down, the plane upside down.
See if anybody notices.
And they immediately had something that stamp collectors would buy.
Sure.
They raised like $30 million, and then they went out and busted some banana republic somewhere. That's how they used to do it. God knows what they're doing now. You know what I mean? I got a feeling it's graduated beyond
a little bit more complicated.
Screwing with the stamps, really. Yeah. Michael, have you ever heard that story?
I have not heard that story.
Okay. All right. Well. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you very soon. We want you back on real soon, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, there he goes. Michael Schratt, man.
He's awesome.
Yeah, lots of information.
Very articulate about this stuff, too.
Yep, done his homework, and everything kind of fits, Everything fits. Someone once told us that out of 9 out of 10 aircraft, like at Area 51, where they test these things, don't work. You know what I mean? But every time there's a failure, they take the positive things and they go to the next step, and next thing you know, you get like the B-2 bomber or something.
I meant to ask him if there were any men in black out at his door every so often, Just
if anyone's going to...
opening his mailbox.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, hopefully he's not getting cat feces. Okay? All right. People may or may not understand what that's about. So why don't we take a break now there, Juan?
All right.
And
that was exhausting.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Trying to keep
but I
up
feel
with
educated for some reason.
Wow.
And we'll be right back after this. So you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
After the events of 9/11, we thought America would never be the same. Our homeland was attacked. Our fellow Americans killed by terrorists. It seemed like all hope was lost. Until a special group of patriots came together and defied the Pentagon and vowed to take revenge, but in their own way. They took the battle to the terrorists' doorstep, turning the tables on the murderers, fighting with no rules, taking no prisoners, until they became terrorists themselves. This is the story of the Superhawks, soldiers so secret even the president didn't know they existed. Their mission was to kill bin Laden, but they wound up saving the world. Superhawks, a new series for Kindles and Nooks by Mack Maloney. Available on Amazon.com.
Back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. We are in our new studio.
Start your Black Friday early. Make the smart choice and switch to Sprint and get a new Samsung Galaxy S8 Active 50% off. That's right, 50% off a lease for the GS8 Active, one of Samsung's hottest devices. Plus, with Galaxy Forever, you can upgrade to the latest Galaxy anytime after 12 lease payments. Visit your local Sprint store, sprint.com/holiday deals, or call 1-800-SPRINT1 today.
Requires 18-month lease and new line, $17.71 per month savings via credit applied within 2 bills. Early termination results in remaining balance due, subject to credit and $30 activation fee. Restrictions apply.
Number 2, and gracing us with his presence, A Streak of Two is the name of his new book. The famous Juan-Juan is here.
Yes, sir. How's it going?
He's wearing, just for those of you joining us late, he's wearing a Tom Brady hat.
A TB-12 hat.
He explained earlier that he has basically changed, his bromance has changed direction. He now doesn't feel that bad about not sharing TV. Is that the angle?
That's it, because I was kind of jealous that everybody was glomming on to Tom Brady like, they were best pals. And,
Yes.
I've been digging Tom Brady since before Tom Brady was TB-12, before Tom Brady was Tom.
Yikes.
Before Giselle was digging on the back, basically.
You see.
So then he gets wicked popular, the GOAT, greatest of all time.
Yes.
And then everybody's glomming on to his heroism. And I'm feeling kind of left out,
But
I've gotten over it now. I have more of a mature relationship with the guy, and
yes, okay,
it's all good. So
okay,
we're back on track here.
Okay, yep, that's healthy. Yeah,
it is.
Okay, baby steps. Baby steps.
If I had 2 heads, I'd wear 2 hats: a TB-12 hat and the 5 Super Bowl hat.
That sounds
with the wrong Roman numerals for Super Bowl 49.
That sounds like a country western song. If I had 2 heads, I'd wear 2 hats. I'll do anything for you.
I like it.
Yeah,
let's work on it.
Do the solo in G, and you got it made, baby. Anyway. On the line for us tonight, we have. I hate to use the word twosome, but I can't think of anything else. I don't know what the French word for twosome is. Juan-Juan, do you? We know Mane's trois is...
Twosome?
Oh, wow. Hang on. See, something else we got to copyright.
Un, deux, trois. Deuxome.
The dosum. I like that. Switchboard.
Let's call Barbara and ask her what the French is for that.
I'm too confused. Why do I always call him Switchboard?
Maybe you should just rename me Switchboard.
It used to be. It was Switchblade for a while.
Stiletto.
Stiletto.
Yeah, he didn't want that. Switchblade, but for some reason, the first when I introduced him, I want to say switchboard. It's what are switchboards? I mean, they went out in World War II, weren't they?
Yeah, they did.
It's another show. Switchblade, Steve Ward, up there in Battle Creek, Michigan, the Bowl of Flakes. How you doing there, Switchy?
Well, listen, I'm doing really so good that human imagination can't possibly conceive of how good I'm doing.
No, I can't conceive it. I can't conceive that any of that.
No, I can't conceive that you can't conceive it. Right. It's a vicious circle. Well, it sounds like you're doing well, and you're drug free, right?
Let's see. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
they've worn off by now, so we're good.
Okay. We want to believe that this is a natural high switch.
Oh, it is.
It is. Okay.
Unless somebody spiked the cornflakes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. With sugar.
And you say that like that's a bad thing.
Yeah. Right. Have you ever eaten Frosted Flakes?
Yes, from the box. That used to be my favorite snack.
Man,
that was my favorite snack.
That is it's sugar.
In fact, I think I'm going to go back to it now that you've mentioned
with
it.
a little bit of like cornflake stuff instead.
I know.
I mean, it's all free. It tastes great.
Or reconstituted cornflakes.
I'll tell you, man, super munchy food. If you know what I'm saying.
It's awesome.
But it's all sugar. It's nothing but sugar. It's just weird that they've been selling that to us for years. Anyway.
We grew up on that stuff, so we're wondering why we're screwed up. And have to go,
right. Didn't do anything really that bad to us.
These detox programs, and get off the sugar.
Yeah, right.
Sugar. Everybody's blaming it on Reese's peanut butter cups, but it's really Kellogg's.
Yes, there you go. Okay, that should be a gigantic lawsuit. Thank you. Anyway, anything to put us on the map, they want.
That's right.
Thank you. So, Switch, you're doing well, so on and so forth. So we should bring in the better half of the twosome. It sounds filthy, but I can't think of a name. To put Emily Mittermeier also on the phone with us, researcher and attractive blonde. That's what her business card says.
I'll take it.
Right.
There you go. See, I like that. I like that kind of verve. You know what I mean? I like that kind of moxie.
I'm glad she doesn't blow it off and say, all they care about is my looks, And
that would make us shallow.
They just like my Skype picture.
There you go. Anyway, Emily, thanks for joining us tonight. Now, you guys, Emily is in Cincinnati. I know that, right? The fun city of the world of the United States. Yeah. Okay. And Steve is up there in the Bowl of Flakes. But you two went to the same conference a couple of weeks ago. Creature Weekend, man. I've been through a few of those. So tell us about it, in your own words, please.
Well, the Creature Weekend is something that's held every year. Bruce Harrington is the guy that runs it. It's held at Salt Fork State Park in Ohio, which is near Cambridge. Emily, isn't there? There's a chain of these state parks in Ohio, isn't there?
There are, yes.
I think there's one in Maumee, and there's maybe a couple other ones. These are really great places, a great lodge, great place to have a conference.
Well, nice.
And go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I can imagine, there's state parks here too, but there's no lodges for rent in them. They're just kind of open spaces. But go ahead. Sounds cool.
You can rent rooms there. They have cabins and so forth, and all kinds of acreage. And it has quite a reputation for Bigfoot reports.
Oh.
Actually, the lady at they have like a little gift shop there. She saw a Bigfoot last February, and I talked to a researcher that had an encounter with what they think were some young Bigfoots a few years ago in that area. So there's all kinds of activity. But Bruce Harrington always sets up a really interesting list of speakers. Like last year we talked about it. He had Ron Moorhead, the guy that got the Sierra Sounds and so forth.
Right.
He had a couple of Bigfoot researchers this year. You know who Adam Davies is?
Juan-Juan is personal friends with him. Right?
Adam Davies?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know Ray Davies. But...
Ray Davies, that's his brother. Yeah. No, it's the other brother. Sorry.
Actually, whatever. Emily, what is his? Is he a Brit or is he?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, Brit. Okay, I'm not sure if he was Brit or Aussie or whatever, but he's traveled the Congo and Sumatra and looked for the Yeti and teamed up with Josh Gates and so forth. He gave a couple of talks, and but Emily and I, and maybe Emily wants to take over here. Our friend Jeff Wamsley, who co-founded the Mothman Festival, and the curator of the Mothman Museum spoke there. This was kind of fun because we've spoken to Jeff for years, but we've never actually seen him give a presentation.
Oh, cool. Yeah, nice. Let me ask you this before Emily tells us about that. This guy you were talking about who goes around the world and, looking for the Yeti and been in Zimbabwe looking for that dinosaur, I'm assuming. And
right.
What's his name again?
Adam Davies.
Okay. Maybe he is one of the kinks, because where do you get the money to do that is what I'd like to know.
Right.
I mean, that's not just
GoFundMe or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, he latched onto he was on with the Discovery Channel and the History Channel's Monster Quest.
Oh, okay, all right.
And Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot. So if you if you have the right connections.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, you get someone else to pay for it. That's the best connection of all. So that's what he's probably doing.
Emily, I don't know who said it. I don't know if you were there. There's somebody, one of our group or somebody we were talking to said, the only difference between us and these guys is funding.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yep.
Listen, I had a experience on, earlier today being on a talk show and not knowing, I shouldn't say that, not realizing what kind of a talk show it was. And the only difference between them and us, it's a big difference, but they have money.
Right.
They have funding.
They're part of a big radio group.
Right, yeah, right. And, speaking about that, and this is just like totally off the cuff, but, they're doing these shows all the time, looking for Bigfoot, ghost hunters and all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to sound like a sexist pig, especially these days, but Emily, you should go and audition for one of those. I'm not saying it to shine your apple or anything. I mean it, because those, a couple of production companies have called me to do that over the years, and sometimes you just don't want to. See, here's one of them calling me right now.
Send them my
This
way.
is the sexual innuendo police.
Checking in, just checking in. That's all. Okay. Anyway,
note the time on that for Jeff.
But yeah, right, exactly. Thank you. 9:09, as it turns out.
One after 9:09, you got to watch out for that one. Okay.
Maybe we better get to this Creature Weekend. So you went to this park, and what's happening there? Is it a large group of people? And now people walking around in costumes of various creatures?
I wish.
Oh,
no.
They weren't?
They were not. Not that I saw.
Okay. So what was it all about? Well,
hey, man, this is serious stuff, man. Not stuff. Come on.
Didn't you think there'd be people walking around?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's a Creature Weekend. What else? Anyway.
It's the perfect place for it.
Yep.
I suppose.
So what
You'll
is
have
it?
to do
Is
that
it
next year, Steve?
Is it kind of like speeches about we've seen Bigfoot here and different kind of paranormal situations?
Well, let Emily go here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, because I'm rather new to Creature Weekend and to Bigfoot research in general. And my first Creature Weekend was actually last year's. And it was only then that I actually got interested in Bigfoot. And so something that I've seen at that conference and last year's and this year's, and then some other different paranormal conferences in between, has been, and I'm sure Steve can speak to this, is that big debate between the people who believe that Bigfoot is a flesh and blood creature and the people that believe that Bigfoot is interdimensional.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I had no idea about any of that coming into it. So it's always interesting to hear these speakers and what they think, because they're very passionate.
Right. Do these people, so there's two groups, people who think it's, as you say, a flesh and blood creature, and then other people who think it might be from some other dimension or whatever. Mm-hmm. Did they ever fight? Did they ever get in fist fights or brawls? Anything along those lines?
Steve
they do?
knows about that.
Do they really? Oh, I'd like to see a videotape of that fight, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, send pictures later.
Yeah, right. I don't think it's the 300 Spartans, if you know what I mean. But anyway, so that's something that you learned. I guess that I've assumed that that's the case because you're either here. Wow.
What's that? Oh, that's a different.
Okay, here we go. When do we find out? Yep. No idea what that's about.
I think that was for me.
No, it was signed Puddles though, so I better watch it. Okay. So anyway, so basically, you went to this nice state park and you heard like people give speeches on different things that have happened there, or just around the world, or different creature type stuff?
Well, like Lake Champlain.
Yep. Okay.
There was a great talk on that. Todd Ness, who has investigated it for years.
Right.
He had a photograph of supposedly a champ. I always thought it was it's a classic one that if people see it, they'll recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was associated with Nessie,
right.
But this was actually supposed to be champ, and he compared it to several other real creatures and extinct creatures. So there was quite a similarity. It almost made me think that this might actually be a real creature.
Right.
But he was very very flesh and blood oriented with this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Lake Champlain is a huge lake,
right.
and could house something like that.
It's very deep. It's a very deep lake too. But we're talking about something that it's not quite the Loch Ness Monster, but along the same lines of the Loch Ness Monster.
Exactly.
Might be in Lake Champlain up in upstate New York. So yeah, that's a cool. I know what you mean, because I used to kind of live up in that area, and so you would hear about it, and it's a kind of a tourist place to be, where they see these sightings.
I visited there.
But if you read about
border Vermont too.
Yeah, right. Yes, but if you read about it, like just how the people saw it and say, well, why would they make this up? You know what I mean? Why have a consistent story and so on? So anyway, yeah, that'd be cool. That's a cool topic to hear a speech on. Anything else? Anything really kind of blow your mind?
Well, the Small Town Monsters people that Seth Breedlove that produced the Mothman of Point Pleasant,
yes,
and some of the other great documentaries. Well, they premiered the invasion of Chestnut Ridge that night, and Chestnut Ridge is the area that Stan Gordon has investigated and written about for years in southwestern Pennsylvania, and it was really well done, very well done documentary on all that weirdness, the UFOs, the Bigfoots, the light phenomena, and so forth.
What is that? What's that story about that you say that Stan is working on?
Well, it's one that he was investigating. I was reading his articles back in the mid-'70s in UFO Report and Saga Magazine and so forth. And this was a rash of UFO reports about 1973-74. And many of them were in conjunction with these bizarre-looking Bigfoot creatures, green glowing eyes. If you shot them, sometimes they would disappear in a hail of sparks. Sometimes they were seen in conjunction with what looked like UFOs. A really, really bizarre situation. And so, and there's still a phenomena going on there. So that was they did this is probably my favorite, of course, is their Mothman documentary. They've done several others, but this one comes very close.
Right. Any celebs there, Emily? People from Lost in Space or anything like that?
Steve was there.
Wow.
You know that guy from Mack Maloney's Military X-Files?
Yes, we remember him.
That guy.
Well, Emily, we had, in the past years, we had various groupings of the mountain monsters. I don't know if you were there that one or not.
No.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, the fake guys that go around pretending like they... tracking fake Bigfoot.
I could take their place on their show.
Yeah, you could.
How about Elvira, Queen of the Night?
Yeah, we were talking about
Mistress
her
of
earlier.
the
Did you see her? She ever show up at one of these things?
Yeah, no. Yeah, she would probably stand out, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. So, I have to come back to the same question I ask every time you guys...
I know what he's going to ask,
yeah,
Emily. I know. Get ready. Strap in.
Okay. Well,
I'm ready.
I don't know if you have to strap in. But anyway, what's it like? What's the social scene like at one of these places? So how many people were there? Let's start at the ground floor.
I don't know. They really filled the lecture hall or wherever you want to call it.
Okay.
And, of course, there are other people attending. I mean, we're not the only people at the lodge.
Right, sure.
I don't know if I could give a good...
like 200 people? 200? 150?
Close to maybe between 100 and 200. Does that sound right, Emily?
Yeah,
Probably better.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay.
All right.
So, is there a social scene involved in it? Like after every lecture, do people go to the coffee shop or to a bar or something? In the structure itself, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a bar there. There's a restaurant. There's an outdoor seating area.
Right.
And after the talks on Saturday, they had a bonfire, kind of towards the back of the property near the woods, and a bunch of people went down there and just hung out, talked.
Very romantic. Juan-Juan.
What's the bonfire? Fireman or something? What is
Fireman,
that?
of course.
What is that?
Flame boy.
What flame?
Yeah. So did you see
Fire
anyone?
guy.
Did you see anyone, hooking up? I mean, that's what I'd be looking for. 360, if you know what I mean. I want to see if people hook up at these things. Do you see any of that go on?
I did not see anything.
Steve,
well, there
Steve,
are stories. There are stories.
Okay, please.
Now, we can't see. One of the things we do is I skipped a couple of the speakers just so I could go around and talk to people, and I talked to Seth Breedlove and so forth, and a lot of interesting people.
Okay.
And we heard some interesting, close encounters with Bigfoot. But also late one night, a bunch of us, we're also friends, so we talk about other stuff, believe it or not.
Yes.
And we hear a lot. There's a lot of, as you know, Mac, and everybody, that there's a lot of stuff in the paranormal and anything. Where there's a lot of gossip and this and that.
They call it the paradrama. The paradrama.
A few years ago, there was some hooking up where there shouldn't have been hooking up because the hooker upper was married and his wife was there.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I'm gonna run out of batteries for this thing.
So there's unfortunately there's that kind of sleazy stuff. But there's plenty of if you're not entertained by UFOs, Bigfoot, and cryptids in general, there's plenty of gossip.
Well,
as Emily can attest to of other people, not us.
First of all, I think Juan-Juan sleazy. Tomato, right? One man's sleazy is another man's entertainment.
Nothing sleazy about that.
No, that's what's sleazy.
Well, just tell us, without naming any names, tell us about this hookup that went on that everyone found out about. What happened?
No, I'm not going there.
What do you mean not going?
Come on, Steve.
You brought us here.
Just the guy was there with his wife, and there's this other lady that didn't have too many morals, hooked up with this guy who didn't have many morals either. And this is some years back.
Right.
And they weren't there at this one.
Mm-hmm. So they were at this thing, and the guy was there with his wife, but just while the wife was down at the pool or something, he and the other woman were.
Well, she was actually not doing well. I guess she was kind of. I don't want to go there. But anyway, this guy is kind of known in the field, and people that know him know that he's a sleazy, no good SOB.
Mm-hmm.
And,
his name isn't Commander Cobra, is it? That's probably
no.
Probably impossible. I had to ask though. So anyway, okay. So but do you think? I mean, I know people who the Ramseys who wrote the book The Aztec UFO Crash. They met and got married because they were researching the same crash. Okay, they've written books about it. They've done radio shows about it. But
that happens.
Romance, right.
Sure.
I'm just curious, and I always think that you from the get-go, you have something in common to talk about. That's
right.
I think that's a big step.
It can be monsters. It can be bowling.
Bigfoot. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, but
start your Black Friday early. Make the smart choice and switch to Sprint and get a new Samsung Galaxy S8 Active 50% off. That's right, 50% off a lease for the GS8 Active, one of Samsung's hottest devices. Plus, with Galaxy Forever, you can upgrade to the latest Galaxy anytime after 12 lease payments. Visit your local Sprint store, sprint.com/holiday deals, or call 1-800-SPRINT1 today.
Requires 18-month lease and new line, $17.71 per month savings via credit applied within 2 bills. Early termination results in remaining balance due, subject to credit and $30 activation fee. Restrictions apply.
It is true. I just met another. I can't remember who it was right now, but I just met another couple that they got together, and then they found out that they were interested in this stuff, this weird stuff. So I guess they had kind of kept it under the collar.
Oh wow, okay.
But, sure it does. I mean, it's to have like-minded people. This is weird stuff,
right?
And it's great to be able to meet somebody you can talk about. I mean, I can talk about the stuff with my wife, who was also attended the Creature Weekend and had a really good time.
Okay, yeah, all right, yeah. I don't know if I can talk to Lois for very long about UFOs, frankly. How about your lovely wife there, Juan-Juan? Is she interested in it?
No, she's not getting into it, even though she used to do medium stuff.
Oh, really? Yeah, well, that's right. We
can talk about that.
We're going to talk about that.
Drawing our angel guides and stuff like that.
Let me just see if I got the story right. If not, we'll have Jeff edit it out, okay? Early in your dating relationship with your lovely wife, okay? She's another person we can on that.
My customers don't even believe that I'm married.
Right. They don't?
I don't know what
another show. Anyway. Okay, so
you're married.
Early in your relation, you got to wear that wedding ring there, pal, so people aren't confused. Okay. You would go on like your first or second dates with your to-be wife were like medium sessions, right?
That's right, and her mother.
And her mother, okay. To a gypsy with cards.
She was a medium too. She did automatic writing.
Wow. Wow, man.
Yeah.
Well, talk about
I never knew what any of this stuff was.
You just didn't want to go to dinner and a movie. You wanted to go.
And they dabbled in the stupid Ouija board for a while too. But
wow, that's a great way to start a relationship.
This thing is Milton Bradley. This isn't for real.
There you go.
Come on, but I
Okay.
went along with it.
Yeah. Okay. Good for you.
And it was very interesting.
It explains a lot.
There's something going on there because I have to fend them off.
Do you really? Yeah,
I do.
Well, you make a lot of house calls too.
I
right?
do. I'm a house call tech. So.
Okay. So
yeah, tell me about it.
The temptation is what? Are you a?
Barbara With said I should write a book.
Who shouldn't? I would buy your book. Switch. What do you? I mean, I don't even know if we know what you do for a living. We know that Emily has a high-powered job that brings her to the West Coast a lot.
Yeah, Emily has a real job.
Right. Okay. What do you do, Steve?
I work for an electrical wholesale company.
Okay.
We sell to electricians, residential, commercial, and so forth.
But do you ever do house calls?
Well, I make deliveries sometimes.
Oh, okay. All right. Ever run into the problem that like mailmen sometimes have?
Only if you know what creative visualization is. Only there, but not in reality so much.
Creative visualization there.
Yeah,
we have to remember.
Well, mailmen run into dogs and things like that.
So they deserve a little.
I go into people's homes.
Okay.
And they say, my Wi-Fi's not working. And they go, well, where's your router? Well,
okay.
They installed it in my bedroom. I don't know.
Yeah, it's under the bed. That type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. One.
So it starts there.
Okay. There's a 2-hour special.
Yeah, there's a book.
Yeah.
I guess there's a book.
At least. Anyway, so Emily, what is it like to spend the weekend with Steve, platonically?
It's fantastic.
Is it really
Steve
fantastic?
Is a wealth of never-ending knowledge
Huh.
of the paranormal.
He is. He's brilliant.
And a nice guy. And I will say about Steve's wife, the redhead, she is fantastic, and she has an appreciation for the paranormal too. So I always love when she's able to come along too.
You did mention once that she was a redhead, and then you said you were going to send pictures, and I never saw them if you did.
Right, Steve.
Did I say that?
Yes, you did,
Yes, you
Steve.
did. We can go back through the archives.
No. I think we said we were going to take pictures in our the Mack Maloney T-shirts.
Oh,
but in
that's
order
it.
to do that, we have to turn our backs to the camera so you can read the,
We
so
don't
you wouldn't
care
see what
about
you
that.
look like anyway.
We know what it says. Just send the picture.
But by the way, I don't know if we should, but we'll tell them this.
Go ahead.
No, we'll make it a surprise, Emily. We have a surprise for Mac the
Don't.
next time
No.
that we are together at an event, photographically.
Whoa.
After the
Yeah,
report,
I knew that was going to go bad when I said that.
I like
Maybe
this. I like the
maybe we'll
smell of
just tell
this,
them.
Mac.
No, my wife bequeathed her Mack Maloney T-shirt to Emily because she thought
Oh.
she, being part of the show, could make better use of it. So we're going to, as soon as we can, we're going to put pictures of us with our backs to the camera and presenting Mack Maloney's Military X-File T-shirts.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
I thought it was going to be a little bit edgier. You know what
I
mean?
know. Well, I'm sorry. I needed to explain that right away so people weren't getting too edgy.
We're going to have another press run of those
Yeah,
T-shirts so that the Mack Maloney stuff is on the front instead of the.
Is that what the
four little
the
logos.
complaint is? From the
that-
fashionistas?
All the good stuff's on the back, and on the front is the
Hmm.
4 logos.
Okay. All right. Well, you'll have
The
to take
4 runes like the Led Zeppelin
right.
album.
You'll have to take that up with our stylist.
Okay, we will.
Who also happens to be a commander. Okay, that's all the information I can give you.
All
on
right.
that. So, okay, so I have some kind of a surprise in store for me. Once you listen to the show and hear what kind of surprise I got from Club, I don't want any more surprises. Anyway, hopefully the sections will be edited in order this week, so that will make sense.
I hope so.
Right. Okay, it was the Halloween show. We thought we'd mix it up a little
Well,
bit.
you did mix it up. It was more interesting listening to it all mixed up.
Okay. If people out there didn't know our Halloween show, the segments
Our
were...
special Halloween special.
Right,
That name was derived from the
Special
Department of the Redundancy Department.
Right, exactly. Right. And in
Came
England,
up with
they'd all
that.
be laid off. Is that? Do you understand that? Unemployed in England means redundant.
a football term. That'd be sacked.
Yes, right. Thank you, Juan-Juan, for your knowledge of international...
I'm on top of it.
Yes, you are. So
I'm
anyway,
like British Invasion, man.
And, okay. Well,
I'm Liverpool all the way.
Okay, maybe in a earlier life you were, in a bromance with some soccer player back in the 50s.
No, I was in love with George Harrison, so we can talk about it. It's another show.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, Juan-Juan, once again, healthy to open up,
No problem.
Okay, all right.
I'm proud of it.
Okay. Do you mind if we don't go out drinking tonight? I got to get home.
I'm still trying to look up Emily on Facebook.
Yeah, I know. This is all he's been doing since we've started
I
this.
have the most unique name ever.
Just go to Facebook.
I know. You're
spelling it wrong. You have to be spelling it wrong.
Maybe.
Okay. MITT.
I got it. Okay. No, I'll look it up later.
Well, thanks, guys, for that report. Any last words for the week? Anything planned for the future that you're going to see?
You guys coming to the East Coast at all for
Yeah, why don't you come and visit us?
That sounds like a good idea. Actually, Emily and I are kind of planning on going with the gang to. This is actually going to be kind of a serious and a somber event. December 15th is the 50th anniversary of the bridge collapse in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And they're going to have some kind of a ceremony or memorial there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, barring weather and being close to the holidays, I'm not positive I can make it, but that's kind of what we're planning on doing.
I can imagine the Chamber of Commerce is really looking forward to that. Right. Special celebration for when the bridge fell and killed 40 people.
Well, hopefully they won't be reenacting it.
Right, yes, right. Oh, you never know. You have to attract the crowd these days.
And also I'll have a report on Pittsburgh MUFON, where David Paulides and some other people were attended, Travis Walton, for example.
Oh, right.
And that was a great event. So
yeah, we got to call him back. He talked to us on the phone. What was that? 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him, and just admitted that a celebrity helps him get chicks at UFO conferences. Right. That's exactly what I was saying.
UFOs is a real chick magnet kind of enterprise.
Well, if you're into it, yeah. I think, right? Maybe I'm all wrong. Who knows, But I think if people, if you're into wine, I'll like modern art. You know what I mean?
That's boring.
Right. But if you're into UFOs and you're attracted to each other, I think it would be a good combination.
I think so.
So, Emily, do you agree? You're the voice of reason here.
I do agree. I don't think I would be swayed by I've been abducted by a UFO pickup line. But definitely would want that shared interest.
Let me tell you about my probing that I had.
I can see how some of the opening lines might be bumpy. Yes. Okay. I understand that. But what we should do is run a dating service Juan-Juan on the side.
I know you keep talking about that.
And hook up people and make sure they're the right fit.
And find out what their UFO persuasions are.
Right. Exactly. We'll call them probers.
Right.
I mean, just
black-eyed children.
Everyone else.
Aficionados.
Anyway, writes itself. Thank you guys for joining us.
Actually, we're getting into the period of the year where it's a little more difficult to go to some of these things, but still, you get a little bit of cabin fever, and hopefully, Emily will get one or two, Point Pleasant trips in with the Mothman irregulars before.
How about Santa's Village? Looking for some interviews with elves.
Wow.
People don't believe in elves,
and
I think elves are real.
Really? Okay.
I'm not sure about Mrs. Claus, but I know Santa is real.
I just want to tell everyone, we're in this very small house in a very small neighborhood out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm with someone who, nice guy, but admitting that you like elves. Okay.
I do.
Yeah, okay. Or that you believe that they exist.
Well, just as long as you don't come up short.
Right. Holy cow. There he goes, doing material, boy. Never, always very vigorous there.
You know where that came from, though? You know the gnomes? The gnomes on George Harrison's
All Things
property.
Must Pass. Yes, right. Yep. They're very popular in England. Everyone has them somewhere. That's what made you fall in love with elves?
Yeah, gnomes and elves. I'm going, I have this forested area in my property, and sometimes I look and see if there are any gnomes under there.
Really? Yeah? Okay.
Living under the toadstools that are growing.
Once again, if you don't hear from me for 2 or 3 days, come and search the station. Okay. Thanks, Emily. Thank you, Switcherino. We'll talk to you next week, okay?
All right.
Hey, great
good.
report.
There you go. We should.
Good job, guys.
Give each other a hand.
Thanks, guys.
We'll talk to you
Thanks,
soon.
guys. And see you later, Emily.
Bye, Emily. I'll look for
Bye,
you on
Emily.
Facebook one of these days.
And go take
I
some
promise
shots.
I'm there.
I'm sure the people have told you this, but can I take shots of your headshots?
I was going to show Mac and
We should do
Emily
that.
Facebook thing, but I don't think that was Emily because she was with like another girl.
Oh,
and I expanded my fingers, and I'm looking at them going.
That's fingers. Yep.
I don't know. It didn't.
I'll be the judge of that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't look like her. She had dark hair, and
thank you.
It just wasn't
Okay.
her. All right.
We'll study it later.
I'll work on it.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon. And you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Let's take a break. We'll be right back after this. Hey, Juan-Juan, did you go to the beach a lot as a kid?
Yes, Mac, I sure did.
I have a feeling like as a youth you were like the 90-pound weakling and that the bullies used to kick sand in your face.
As a matter of fact, they did. I mean, I tried to pump iron back then, but I'd get pooped pretty quickly.
Oh my God, look at you two girly men.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What are you doing here?
I'm here to make sure you read the ad copy for this fabulous new workout product called SEX that I can't endorse, but that I'm sure works wonderfully.
Hey, Arnold, what was that thing with you and the maid?
Oh, just do the ad.
Yeah, man, nailing the maid. That's a little fringy.
That's it. I'm going to turn you into 2 Vienna pretzels.
Cobra, save us!
I'd be glad to, gentlemen. What the boys are trying to say is, this is a new energy drink that can give you the extra endurance you need to get through your daily workout.
Yeah.
It's called SEX, for Strength Energy Accelerator. It comes easy to use. Just mix a scoop with water and drink 30 minutes before you start your workout, and you find you can last longer and feel all around better after finishing your regime.
Yeah.
The mix comes in many different flavors. Of course, my favorite is passion fruit.
Me too.
And it contains all the essentials you need to get over the top, whether you're trying to add muscle and bulk or just maintain your current physique.
You could look like me.
That's SEX, Workout Dietary Supplement, available only through Cadillo USA. Visit CadilloUSA.com for more details. That's CARDILLO USA.com and get some sex today.
Hey, what's going on in here?
Pistol Pete, what are you doing here?
I told you guys, no partying in the studio. What are all these dumbbells doing here?
Hey, just because you own this place doesn't mean you can call me a dumbbell.
Oh, yeah?
Kick his ass, Pete.
Come on, I'm right here.
SEX Workout Powder, available only through CadilloUSA.com. Read instructions carefully before using.
What's the reason for falling in love? And what's the reason for giving a heart you don't even know?
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. In the studio with us tonight, our new studios in Exeter, New Hampshire. We are the Exeter Incident, the very famous Juan-Juan.
Hello. Good show so far.
Yeah, yep. It seems like
Having a
it's
good
been
time
going on
tonight.
for a long time, but yeah, a lot of laughs. And maybe we'll have some more because our friend Martin Willis is on the other line calling in. And he is someone who does a great UFO podcast, and he's done a number of speaking engagements and so on. And he is also someone, if I remember, weren't you a stand-up comedian at one point, Martin? Oh, Martin Willis, everybody. Thanks for coming to the show.
Oh, my pleasure. I did a little bit of that. Actually been thinking about getting back into it.
Really?
Just trying to make the winter somehow be easier this year.
Okay. Tell us your best
I
joke.
need-
What's your best joke?
Oh, you can't do that to me.
Well, tell us a joke.
Oh, well, yeah. God, I hate this, man. Let's see. Well, it's like, I am really bad at relationships. Even my blow-up doll ended up being a cutter. Yeah, there's stuff like that.
Holy
And
cow,
I
was-
even said that wrong.
That was like really out there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Things are so bad in your life that your blow-up doll is a cutter, meaning people who cut themselves because they're...
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yikes, huh? And did that get big laughs, or did that... Is that still
well,
work,
when I say it right, it does.
a work in progress?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But,
It's sort of like, whoa, and then...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, right. And can you just have one more joke that you can tell so we can compare and contrast?
Oh, geez. Oh, my God. Well, when I was coming into the show tonight, this woman came up to me and she said, you're not exactly the right height for your weight. And I said, look, lady, you have no friggin' idea how high I am right now.
Yeah, see, now that's what we're talking about. That's the benchmark. Okay.
That's good.
And no future gigs down the Prince Spaghetti House there on Route 1?
No, but hey, I'll look into that.
Right.
I'll see if they have open mic.
I have to tell you, we went down there a few months ago. Listeners have heard this before. Jackie the Joke Man Mottling was there from the Howard Stern Show. And Lenny Clark opened for him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I know Lenny, who he is, yeah.
Yeah. And the only reason I didn't walk out to the Lenny Clark one was that we hadn't got our food yet. Lenny Clark, terrible. Just horrible. And then Jackie Jokeman comes on and it was like, I'm leaving the meatballs, man. You couldn't take it.
How could you leave the meatballs?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Is that bad?
That bad.
Come on.
That's awesome.
Bad. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
it was kind of awesome in an awesome way. So, anyway, tell us about your podcast. How long has that been going on?
Well, let's see. I think I started it by accident in 2011. So, and I think I'm up to about 275 episodes, something like that.
Wow, huh?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And, I've had some repeat guests, but I think, the part I like the most about it is just to hear different people's opinions on what the heck they think is going on. There is something going on.
Mm-hmm.
But, just to hear all these different opinions. And you know what? I'm not any closer to knowing anything than I was when I started.
Right, yep.
But it's still really interesting to me.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, because I don't think either of us know anymore. We've heard a lot of stories and just a lot of different, as you say, descriptions or, people's opinions or whatever. But it never ends, and it's like the unanswerable question, if you know what I mean. I mean, what's it going to take for us to know exactly what's going on? And as you say, something obviously is going on. It sounds like about 7 or 8 things are going on simultaneously, Big Feet and UFOs
everywhere.
and so on. And it'd be cool if they were all part of the same thing, all part of the same unified theory,
Yeah, well, some people actually think that is very much what's going on, a unified thing.
Right.
And, for instance, Paul Eno,
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever had him
Friend
on
of the
your
show. Oh, yeah, yes. Yep,
yeah.
Absolutely. Good guy.
Great guy. And, his idea is really, really interesting. But I really don't know. I know I had a sighting, and I know that I could never and still can't explain, what exactly I saw.
Tell us what happened. When did you see it? And what happened?
I think it was 2006. It was sometime, and I don't even remember exactly what time of year. I think it was fall. I was in Carmel Valley, California, and I had been recovering from a hip surgery that I had, but I wasn't on any painkillers, so don't go there or anything.
Okay.
I mean,
Juan-Juan,
no painkillers.
Wasn't even thinking anything.
No, me neither. Go ahead.
Sure, yeah. So anyway, I was in the hot tub at this ranch.
Start your Black Friday early. Make the smart choice and switch to Sprint and get a new Samsung Galaxy Note 8 50% off. That's right, 50% off a lease for the Note 8, one of Samsung's hottest devices. Plus, with Galaxy Forever, you can upgrade to the latest Galaxy anytime after 12 lease payments. Visit your local Sprint store, sprint.com/holiday deals, or call 1-800-SPRINT1 today.
Requires 18-month lease and new line, $20 per month savings via credit applied within 2 bills. Early termination results in remaining balance due, subject to credit and $30 activation fee. Restrictions apply.
A friend of mine owned a ranch down there and said, use the guest house and relax. So I was. And I was sitting there alone, no alcohol, nothing. I was just sitting there with a glass of water. I mean, I'm pretty much a lightweight.
Okay.
And something caught my eye. And I like to look up at the sky when it's dark to see, say, meteorites or whatever it is, satellites, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
And so something caught my eye, and it wasn't yet dark, it was twilight. And so I'm looking over me and watching this perfectly shaped disc object, about like if you held a quarter out at arm's length, just float over me. And, the one thing that now I've heard it a million times, but back then, I had no clue at all, is the thing that baffled me the most is that it was totally silent. You know, and I kept saying, how's this? What is it? First of all, why am I not hearing anything?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it just came. It was sort of a blue glow to it, and I've only heard one other person describe one like that. So there was like a blue glow, no lights on it, and all of a sudden it just stopped and stayed still, and then it went on a very straight angle out toward Carmel. So I jumped out of the hot tub.
Yes.
I ran inside, and I didn't know who to call or anything.
Right.
And it never even occurred to me to go online to report anything online. And I just called the Carmel Police Department, and I said,
okay,
there's the UFO heading your way. And I got so much grief. I mean, the woman might as well have laughed. She might as well have laughed at me. She put me on hold for 15 minutes, and I got frustrated and hung up.
You know, screw them. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, and then it turns out that you did see something. How big was the blue glow thing?
Well, it's awful. I could never really tell how high up in the air it was, so I didn't have anything to really judge it by. So I couldn't really tell you how big it was. You know, I would only be guessing.
Right. Okay. But you know, good size.
I would imagine, you know, if I had to guess, I would say probably 20 or 30 feet, but that's only a guess. I really don't know.
Oh, that's good size, you know. And that would be, you know, when you said, you know, it made no noise. I mean, that just adds this kind of creepiness factor to the whole thing. You know, it's like, how can you be here and how can you not make any noise? You know, it just, who knows what they are. You know, so
yeah, and you hear that over and over again. People all saying the same thing, even when they race off at supersonic speed, and there's no sound barrier broken. You know, there's no explanation for that either. And you know, they've been tracked on radar over 20,000 miles an hour.
Right. Yep.
You know, and there's plenty of that. Those records out there.
Right. When you saw this thing, I mean, did you have any like real initial impression, just like boom, right off the bat? This is from outer space. This is a secret weapon of the United States. You know, this is. What did you think in that split second?
It just was an oh my God situation. Like, I can't believe it. That's all. And if I had a camera next to me, I would have never even thought to pick it up.
Yeah,
you know,
it just. That's strange.
I was just glued to it.
You're just so shocked at looking at it.
Yeah. Finally, I'm seeing one. That's how I would look at it.
Somehow you're mesmerized when you get a sighting.
Yeah. Strange, you know. And someone said to me once, well, we used to talk about how, you know, UFOs don't necessarily have to be little green men from Mars, you know. They could be time travelers, you know. When a lot of things from time travel kind of fit in. Yeah. And they say, you know, when they take off at like such unbelievable speed, it's not a propulsion thing. It's they're jumping ahead in time, which makes it seem like they're gone, you know. But they have the ability to travel in time, and a lot of UFO activity kind of fits into that idea. And
jumping the time barrier.
Yeah, and UFOs during World War II and stuff. You know, the time tourists looking at you know, history being made. Blah blah blah. I've said that so many times. Promote my book, but there's a good thing to it. You know, there's a good idea behind it. Maybe they just want to see history being made, you know, so.
Right. Well, there's many times people will report seeing a UFO and all of a sudden it instantly vanishes. You hear that many times.
Right.
So, yeah, it's definitely a mystery.
Yeah. So, and as a kid, were you interested in these things, or?
You know, I lived on a hill right across the river from Pease Air Force Base, and I was in Elliott, Maine, and that was in Newington, New Hampshire, right across the Piscataqua River.
Yep.
And there was kind of weird things a couple of times that my sisters and I were looking over there, and also there was a sort of a minor flap when I was young that people talked about it a lot. So I guess I did have some interest, but didn't really think about it in my adult years, you know, until this happened. And it was like, oh, my God. And I had not paid attention. I had heard about Roswell, but didn't really pay attention to it. As a matter of fact, some friends of mine were joking about stopping there and telling me about the restaurants and the, all the weirdos and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So
always
that's
good radio.
as close as I got to it for until 2006, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how did you build up this audience that you have? Just consistency, good guess.
Well, it's another kind of a strange. When I said by accident, the whole thing started. It just basically what happened is a comedian friend of mine in L.A. asked me to be on his podcast, and I brought up the topic, and he teased me about, anal probing and everything else.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
So that's really real?
Wow.
I thought that was a joke.
No.
I thought it was a myth.
No, that did not happen.
It just didn't happen on The Simpsons.
And not without drinks and dinner first. Wow. Oh, my God. But anyway, go ahead, please.
So anyway, he told me afterwards he had his website monitored for downloads, and he said there's keyword there. The keyword is UFOs. You told me the story about UFOs, and I was already doing a podcast on comedy and a few other things, and plus antiques and fine art, which is my real life, and so I just kind of as a throwing it out there. I said to someone, I think I'll start a podcast on UFOs. And matter of fact, I'm going to call it Podcast UFO.
Why didn't
I know
we
it's
think
a
of
weird
that?
name.
Juan-Juan.
Yeah,
we're having too much fun at the old headquarters. But yes, go ahead, please.
So anyway, I just started it, and Stephen Bassett was my first guest.
Nice.
I asked a lot of different people, who would want to be on my show, and no one wanted to take the dive first, but he did.
Well, that's a big name, in the UFO community.
Yeah, on disclosure and all that. But anyway, so I started, and I seemed to gain an audience right away, and now it's, it's about somewhere in the neighborhood of 100,000 downloads a show, something like that. I don't really know for sure because it's on a bunch of different podcast sites.
Yeah.
So I really don't know.
Cool. But it's it was funny because, as I said, I was on it a couple of weeks ago, but you have the ability to move things along, if you know what I mean. We were there for almost 2 hours.
Oh, that's right.
Things just kind of float along. I just wanted to ask you, so let me just throw this out to you because we were talking about this earlier. What do you think happened at Roswell?
Oh, okay. I think something happened. I know you don't, because we've had that conversation before. And the reason I think something happened, because it just doesn't make any sense to me that the Army Air Force at the time would report that they captured a flying disc. It doesn't. I can't see any circumstance where they'd want to say that, first of all, and all they had to do was say nothing, So it's really a bizarre situation. And I understand, some of the witnesses have been disproven, their testimony has been disproven false. So and a lot of Roswell has turned into a myth. And I don't know how it's going to morph over the next, say 50 years or 100 years.
Right.
So I don't know what's going to happen to it. And I don't think anything's ever going to be really, discovered in that. However, there is the Ramey memo that has, as technology grows, so far there are a lot of words that have been deciphered on that. And what it is Ramey is holding this in his hand during a photograph of the weather balloon.
Right.
And so it's at an angle, but there's a gentleman in San Francisco that's been working on deciphering the letters. And it does appear to say that about the crash and victims, there's some words that are kind of, pretty easy to see. And then the rest of them really, really difficult.
Right.
So I think as technology, as far as photo analysis grows, there may be a possibility that someone may be able to read that someday. And maybe that is the smoking gun of Roswell. Who knows?
Right. Hey, we're talking to Martin Willis, who is the UFO researcher, the creator of UFO Podcast, right?
Or Podcast UFO.
Podcast UFO. Now, why did you have podcast come first?
Well, I couldn't get that darn other domain name.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I understood that it's really good if you want a domain name and title, you should have them the same if you can.
Yeah.
So that's why I did it. And besides, it's a little weird.
Yes,
and,
right.
UFOs are a little weird. So.
Right. Yeah. Right, sure. Well, it's just I like the show a lot, and I think you've done a really good job of it. It's entertaining and good for you.
Well, I have fun.
If there is any, and I don't even want to use the word president, let's say chief executive or something, okay, in the history of this country, who will release what's really going on with UFOs, it's the present chief executive, okay? Because if he does not come out with, if he comes out and says there's nothing to it, just like Clinton had said and Obama had said and so on, then I believe him, because he's just nuts enough to say, you know what? Here's all the classified information you want. Here's the films. Here's the videos and stuff like that. He's that kind of guy. And
well,
I just think if there's disclosure, I think it's going to be in this administration.
I have a couple thoughts on that, if you'd like to hear them.
Please.
And one of them is, first of all, I had Christopher Mellon from the Mellon family. I was one of the two people that interviewed him, and when he was part of the DOD, he had top clearance, and he actually has an interest in UFOs. And basically, I asked him the question. I said, if the president wanted to find out about UFOs, could the president find out? And he said, absolutely. Nothing can be hidden from him, and that is, but. How about it goes private? Whatever the organization looking into it, it goes into a private sector. Then, no.
Could he just bust in on a private company to find out what they know? And no, it would be against the Constitution. So they farmed it out. They contracted out, just like that's how X makes his living. Okay, he still does what he used to do, but it's contracted out to another company, and that's the perfect way to end the paper trail.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
And X, I remember you talking about him in one of your books. You did some research, and he helped you.
Right.
Right.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, that just makes more sense than anything when you really look at it. That's their way to plausible deniability. It's perfect. I cannot go and get this information because it would break the constitutional law. That's brilliant in a way, Martin, well, listen, we have 2 minutes left, okay?
Can I talk about something?
Oh, yeah, sure. I was going to ask you to tell us another
just
joke.
Real quickly.
Yes, please, go ahead.
I recently had my favorite guest of all time on, who's only in her 20s, and it just blew me away and everyone else, and that is, I don't know if you have heard about the Ariel School incident in Rua in Zimbabwe.
Oh, no.
Oh, back in the 1990s, there was a sighting with 62 school children, and they all saw this craft land, and two beings get out. One stayed on the roof, and then some, people said different things. They thought different things, almost like telepathy.
Yes.
Anyway, so I had Selma Siddick. She was one of the children that witnessed this thing. She was only 4 to 5 feet away from this being.
Wow. And
she described him perfectly. And she said the eyes were, deeply looking into her. She said it just like they were looking right through me. The whole interview with her just gave me the chills. It's one of the better documented close encounters of all time.
Yes.
So if anyone wants to check it out, it's the Ariel School incident. That's spelled ARIEL. Fascinating case.
Can they find that on your archive somewhere?
Oh yeah, that's a recent show. I think show number 273 or something like that.
Okay. All right. And were they gray aliens or were they kind of humanoids?
No, she described it as white, sort of like a porcelain colored, almost like the skin almost looked like porcelain. There was no expression. And it was just like staring through her. And then all of a sudden it was over, like 5 feet away from, another friend of hers. And then it moved again. She said, I couldn't tell if it moved or if I was blinking my eyes, and it moved when I was blinking my eyes.
Right. And what did they stop for? Were they like asking directions or something? Why did they stop on this particular?
No, it never said a sound. There was never a sound.
Wow.
And she described in detail, it looked like it looked like it had a bodysuit, like a black bodysuit. And she had no idea it was a UFO. She had no idea what she was looking at.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
And neither did anyone else, because in the middle of, the jungle, so to speak,
right.
That was never a topic that they even knew about.
Yeah, right, cool. Hey, listen, Martin, you're going to come back on again real soon, okay? Because the 30 minutes went in a breeze.
It did.
So thanks for joining us. Podcast UFO. Just go on YouTube and, and plug it in. And there's tons of shows and really interesting guests. Can you leave us with a joke, number 3? Just your third best joke, please.
Oh,
leave us laughing.
None of them were best.
Yeah. Oh, don't be modest.
Oh, okay. Well, boy, I hate getting put on the spot like this, because I think that was my entire gig, what I told you, those two jokes.
Well, okay. All right.
How do you like that?
That's his entire repertoire.
Really
Okay, fine.
And just keep telling them over and over, and they'll finally laugh at you.
That's
okay?
right. And I'm playing I'll be at the Spaghetti House this week.
Really? Yeah, the Spaghetti House?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
As a comedian, or are you going to be?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Those two jokes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's good. I like it quick. You either laugh or you don't. It's.
That's right.
I like the edginess of that. Thank you very much, Martin, and we'll talk to you real soon, okay?
All right. You take care.
And, hey, you're going to come down my house and check out that jewelry, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're pawning it, right? Yeah. All
No,
right,
I'm
Juan-Juan.
just,
Good
I'm
to talk to you, too.
I'm researching it. Thank you. Thanks, Martin. Wow, there you go, man.
Good night, Martin.
His podcast is really cool. It is. He has so many
I got
different...
on my phone here. There's an archive section, too.
Mm-hmm. And he gets a lot of, just a lot of top-shelf guests, so it's always
Well, hey, that was always... It's always fun to talk to you, Mac.
Okay.
You're actually a fun host.
Wow. How about that,
Juan?
Juan-Juan? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Because earlier in the show...
pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, early in the show I found out...
He did that already.
Yes. Juan-Juan. How dare you? Earlier in the show I found out that someone...
He just did some remote viewing.
That's... Where are we? Someone had sent me through the mail a bag of cat feces. So I think you're kind of balancing it out.
That's what our email security guys.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It screens everything.
Screens everything. Juan for some reason gets rubber sex toys.
I get boring.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sex toys used typically by females.
Yeah. Funny. And Cobra, who didn't come in tonight, gets love letters from various GI Joes around the world, and
sweet.
And I'm getting cat feces to the mail. But thank you for your word, for your, your favorable words. I really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right, Mac. You take care. Bye, Juan-Juan.
Okay.
Good night. Thank you very much.
Podcast UFO.
Good night, Martin.
Yep. Bye-bye.
And that's the end of the show there, JJ.
Wow, what a show.
Yeah, really. Okay. I don't know. The Cobra doesn't know what he missed, or maybe he does. Who knows? So I want to just thank everyone.
His loss, our gain. We had more time to do other things.
That's right. Switch and Emily, thank you for joining us. Michael Schratt, thank you for talking to us about the deepest black operation programs in the world. And that guy knew how much each one cost and when they were built. And he's really good. He's really good. Thank you to Willie Clubb for calling in, telling us what our latest security check is. And also, thank you to Martin Willis for joining us and enlightening us in all things having to do with UFOs. Thank you very much for.
We thanked Switch and Emily. We did that.
Switch and Em. Yep. Okay. But they're so good. We can mention them twice. Thank you to all our listeners out there. If you want to get a hold of us, just write me at.
Thank you, Emily.
Wingman@MackMaloney.com. Very funny there. One last one of the night.
I'll find her on Facebook one of these days.
You're
I'm
really hanging in there, buddy. Okay. And so until next time, this is Mack Maloney for the gang saying, be safe, be happy, and...